4 years have passed since the mortal races banded together and stood united against the might of the Burning Legion. Though Azeroth was saved, the tenuous pact between the Horde and the Alliance has all but evaporated. The drums of war thunder once again.
In a land of mighty kingdoms, new threats emerge. Ancient alliances are reforged, and an unexplored world awaits. Blizzard Entertainment proudly invites you to experience Warcraft from a whole new perspective. Stake your claim. Live the legend. A world awaits. The world of Warcraft.
about to say that.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, but especially the ladies. Shout out to the ladies, all one of you. Welcome back to this stream. My name is Cargo. As my classic WoW family, it is great to have you back here live today on January 23rd, 2020. You love to see it. Thank you very much for joining us today, ladies and gentlemen. We have a Blackwing Lair guide for you. I can't believe it. Phase 3 is upon us already. The time is flying, guys. It's hard to believe. But thank you very much for being here. But before we get in, I need to introduce some big friends of the channel back here today to share their big brain knowledge with the community. We'll do a round. First, we'll say hi, then we'll do a round of intros. Scarm, how the hell are you doing, brother?
How's it going? I'm doing pretty well. Still on that AV grind.
Oh, that's
AV
good.
grind. Yikes, dude. Godspeed. Egregious, how are you doing, man?
Not bad. Just living that BWL prep.
Hell yeah, man. Crix.
I'm
Warlock battle
fantastic.
buddy. Doing well?
I'm hyped. BWL hype is here.
It is.
It is.
It
Get
is here.
pumped.
I
We're
can't
here.
believe it, man. Can you guys believe that phase 3? We're about to be in phase 3 of Classic WoW. It feels like just yesterday we were in the demo. It feels like just yesterday. It was Elysium, man. I felt like Elysium just came out, man. I feel like it's just Zethker.
Feels like EverQuest was just yesterday.
I
It's
feel,
so
like
salty.
I feel like I'm still spamming SM leveling up my first character.
I can't believe it, man. I can't believe it. Storm, thank you for the 3 months, brother. You love to see it. Welcome back to it. Yeah, man. I mean, I said this before on stream. I'll say it again, guys. We are one big family here. We're one small family, actually, compared to other gaming communities, right? We are a unique gaming community in that most of us are probably a little bit older. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm enjoying Classic WoW more the second time around. And this is going to go by in the blink of an eye. And we're going to look back on the second generation of Classic WoW with nostalgia and reverence and all that type of stuff too. So enjoy it, dude. Enjoy, relish every last minute of it, because it's going to be gone before you know it. Not to be too somber about this, but ladies and gentlemen, we have this special treat for you today. We're gonna do some intros here, okay? We have some really large brain members of the community, much larger than myself, people who have extensive experience raid leading, playing the video game at a high level. Scarm, if you could be so kind. I know most people probably know you. You're probably a bigger streamer than me at this point, but just, could you please give a brief rundown of your history with the game and where you're playing now and stuff?
Sure. So I started playing. I played like console RPGs like Final Fantasy, right? Zelda, if you want to call that RPG. And in 2005, I had a real life friend get me into vanilla WoW. May 2005 is when I started playing the game. About 6 months after originally released. And I never played Diablo or EverQuest or anything like that. But I wasn't like new to video games, right? So I enjoyed it. Found myself just learning as I leveled up. I was pretty casual until like, there'd be times where like I would log out for a week, not even in, right? Because I just forgot. I'd log in like, I could have gotten all that rested XP. But as I got closer to 60, which on a Paladin is my first character, that's when I just really started taking the game seriously. I ended up, by the end of vanilla, I ended up rolling a warrior, tanking 8 bosses in an axe. I just found, I enjoyed tanking. I continued tanking throughout TBC, Lich King on different classes. Ended up quitting the game in Lich King for about 8 years. Found Elysium private server when it was fresh. This was after like Nostalgia's got shut down. And I just rolled on it, just wanted to play a game that I loved again. And by the end of that server, I ended up speedrunning Nax with Salad Baker's fastest hour 8 minutes for the entire clear. Faster than anyone else has done it currently on private even. So, and I just wanted to share that with people. I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool. And I was tanking on Druid in another guild. I was main tanking Nax, something that I didn't see anyone else doing. So I just decided to start making videos and talking about it, and turned into this. This was a little over a year ago that I made my first YouTube video. And now I'm streaming full time. I'm making enough money off of this to do this full time is fucking amazing.
The dream.
Yeah, where I started from, and I didn't have like, my financial situation is not great when I started this out. So it's been a fucking amazing journey so far.
Love to see it. I've seen Scarm go from his first YouTube videos to now being one of the biggest, streamers in the space. One of the probably with like your brand is around high level gameplay and big brain type of insights into the game. rating, all that. I think it's a really good brand you've created too, because not all brands are created equal. You know, some people are more known for being super hype or super whatever it is. I mean, when it comes to rating at a high level, you are one of the top dogs in the space, man. Thank you very much for being here today. Crix,
For sure.
hit us
My
with that bio, dude. That auto bio.
Let's see. I was young when it came out. I didn't really do much but PvP on like my cousin's account. I didn't really play much on mine. And then when Burning Crusade came out, I started raided Lich King, and then I quit until Draenor. Well, into Draenor. I'm a retail baby. I love retail. Still, I don't really love it now, but I still play it a lot. I have hopes for it.
Hey man, he's honest, dude. It's good to get some diversity
Yeah,
here, right? He
I
still
came
plays
back-
retail.
well, I came
Anybody
back-
play retail?
Yeah, gotta come back for reading.
You played
gotta have
Shadowlands?
hopes. Have hopes for the future. It's doo-doo right now, but you never know. You just never know. I came back as a Warlock in WoD, and just have been a Warlock since then. And then now that I'm grown, I wanted to come back and take the classic Warlock just to the next level, and that's what I'm trying to do.
I mean, just to shield for you on your behalf. Crix is one of the biggest pumpers in Invictus, World 13. They were Progression 10. Egregious is the GM of it. We'll get into that in a second. But Crix, you have really rise to the occasion. I remember you were kind of a sleeper cell. I would look at the logs and I would go, "Who is this guy, man? This guy's coming out of nowhere. Like, this guy's got some numbers, man. This guy slaps." And big Crix over there. And then we've been talking ever since. And it's actually your idea to do this guide, so thank you for being here as well. Also, Skarm,
man,
if you had to count, how many raids have you led? If you had to count, I mean, it's probably hundreds at this point, right? I mean, you've
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I've led because sometimes like even in by like the last year or so, I was playing private server at a level 60 warrior, druid, paladin, and mage. That like at any given time, like it would just be like someone's doing molten core, and I happen to have free time. Like I'll just join on someone that's not saved, right? And I'll end up like at least assisting leading most of the time. So yeah, it's been a whole bunch.
Do you love raid leading? Is it something you're passionate about?
Yeah, I will. Like sometimes I love raid leading, but above all, like I just want the raid to go well. If someone else that's competent is in charge, I can sit back and not say a word. I'm fucking totally fine with that. But if I'm in a raid and it's just fucking not going well, like I was in a raid last week where we wiped on Gar like 4 times, and after the first wipe I said like can we change the strategy a little bit, let's kill, because they weren't killing Gar first, right? They were killing like trying to kill ads, and they're running around. I'm like, let's just kill the boss. Even if we wipe, the boss will be dead, just everyone on the boss. And it took 4 wipes before I finally raised my voice a little bit, and they're like, okay, let's try that. We one shot him afterwards, right? Of course. So it's like if the raid's not going well, like I'm gonna step in, right? I feel compelled to do that because I don't want to sit there silently and just fucking wipe all night. It's not fun to me. But yeah, so I enjoy doing it though. Like I'm happy to do it if I'm the one that's has the position for sure.
Absolutely. And last but not least, we have Big Egregious, GM of Invictus. A good dear friend of mine now at this point. Was at my wedding with Navik, man. Been there every step of the way. One of the founding partners of Classic WoW Live with me as well. Just a dear friend of the channel. You love to see it. GM of Invictus, World 13. We've come a long way, my brother. How are you doing, Egregious, man? Could you please give your bio and history of the game to the people?
Good, man. Good. I mean, I've been playing this game like most people since it came out a long time ago when I was a child, like 14. First day of school I ever skipped. That obviously didn't lead very well. But, I played casually until like about Wrath, where I sort of like realized I sucked, right? And wanted to get better. And got a mentor, got into, top 100 US guild, and then like just like climbed all the way up, quit at the very beginning of Legion with the introduction of legendaries. Because like that just to me was, a disaster. I went back to private servers, played on like Phoenix, on Warmain, a couple of these like servers over time, and like when they announced Classic, I just knew that was going to be something that I wanted to create a guild in and push to be top personal and also top guild rank. So
one interesting thing I will add, guys. So Skarm, big brain tank. Egregious is a healer, and you played every healing class. I think you're like I am trying to shill for you because you deserve the shill. You're like number 2 healer in the world or something right now. I mean, I didn't check in a minute, but so there's logs go up and down. I'm gonna do like a logs push at the the very last week. You were though, right? I
have 100 on every. I have 100 on like
100 on every fight. I mean, you take pride in your healing abilities. right?
Yes.
You take
And
tremendous
my healing
pride.
master. Yeah.
Healing
My
master.
healer's really good.
Yeah, he
Far sword.
Innervate egregious.
he Innervate Egregious is the meme in Skyrim. But so we have a healer perspective, we have a tank perspective, we got two little small brain DPS perspectives here. Crix, what's up, man? We got it. Hopefully we got it covered between all of us. But Egregious, damn near the best healer I ever saw in my life. Skyrim's got to be one of the best tanks. It's gonna be a good show, guys. I'm hyped, man. One's in the chat. I typed it in here. One's in the chat if you ever skip school to play WoW. Be honest. I'm pretty sure everybody is gonna put a 1 in the chat. We've all TBC, man. I don't, even college, man. C's get degrees was kind of my motto. I got through it, but can't believe it. Anyway, man, it's good to have you guys all here. We're all one classic WoW family, and I thank you so much for everything that you guys do to keep the game, keep the community going strong, supporting the creators out here. We'll do our best for you guys. Stay with this Blackwing Lair guide. Okay. So, let's move on to slide number 1. We did the intros. Predictions. There's a lot of juicy stuff going through my mind. Who will get world first? How fast will BWL be cleared? How will the tuning be? The difficulty related to private servers, related to vanilla, because vanilla is not classic, right? Classic is its own beast, so what will the ideal raid composition, how much trash you can skip, you said that, Egregious. Let's start there. Predictions. Open the floor. Anybody have any predictions?
It'll be open and
Big
shut in an
server
hour.
deals.
Definitely.
Apes, onslaught.
Who will get it is
progress.
totally, up in the air.
Yeah.
I think it depends on if EU releases same time as US. So if they get it at the same time, then it's a total toss up. If it's US first, then it's going to be a US guild because it's going to be.
Who got it for MC?
The top end rated.
Was it Apes?
Apes, yeah, right.
Apes got it for MC.
Yeah, they sweat real hard, dude, on that first week.
They're good. They're really good.
They sweat hard, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gun to your head. If you had to put $1,000 down, it wasn't your money. It was your grandma's money. It was, I don't know, it was some other person's money on someone to win. Who would you put it on? If you actually had to, or no, maybe it is your own money, so the stakes are there. Who would you bet it on?
Depends on if EU
I don't
starts
know,
the
man.
same time as US.
I think Onslaught is a real chance as a US
Yeah.
guild. I think this, Gussie, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing their name right, but Apes and Progress all have great shots. It's going to be one of the top 5. Apes, Gussie, Progress.
I would say onslaught
Or
US,
Onslaught.
Apes EU. For
Apes
sure.
EU. I'm looking
I
right
don't
now.
think there's- right
Warcraft
now there's
logs
really
right now.
good close.
The fastest molten core right now is 24:53 by Gussie.
And they just did that too, I think, like a week
Goldmag
or two ago.
EU. Then a Chinese guild at 24:54. So what is that? 1 minute slower? Oh my god, you hate to see it.
But those minutes, dude, when you get
Yeah.
sub 27 minutes in MC, those minutes get hard to shave off because you're looking at 15 seconds here, 7 seconds between this trash mob and that, 10 seconds between the boss pull, and like you're looking at seconds shaving off on each pull you do through the instance.
Yeah. Yo, Invictus was
A lot of these
12.
guilds
Now
are-
it's 22. Yo, it went down a little
I
bit.
know,
but it's
dude,
still
you
pretty
fucking
high.
A lot of
It's
these, a lot of these guilds are starting to do speedruns now towards the end versus when
Yep.
a lot of these other bigger guilds did it like a month or two ago, and they're still up there.
Yo, Skarm, I gotta ask you something though, man. How come I'm looking at Warcraft logs right now, man, and I'm seeing mostly blue up there, dude? I'm seeing mostly blue. I thought a horde with the big Chad Windfury totem, man, and the shaman
Blue.
armor, man. How come there's so much blue up on this leaderboard, Skarm? I
You
thought
look at
horde
my,
was the
warrior?
master faction. I'm saying right now, just on Warcraft logs, I see like 80% of these guilds on the leaderboard. for
Oh, in
speed.
general?
Yeah, just in general. It's mainly Alliance that are killing it on the speed
Oh, yeah,
speed
it's-
runs and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's easier. It's easier for Alliance. So there's more Alliance guilds that are doing it.
Yep. That threat is a huge issue, especially with like Wind Fury upping the threats like problem on Warriors and Horde. It's a real
No
it's a
salvation?
real problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ratings harder on Horde than it is on Alliance. Not only that, but there's, I think, more PvP.
And
There's
yeah.
more. There's a different mindset on Horde in general. So the players who roll on Horde typically aren't like Dragon Slayers, first and foremost. Does that make sense? So like they might not show up as PvP. You got like fucking Shaman showing up as Elemental and shit, and which
Yeah,
is
that's
not
not-
a huge deal, but it's like I think that's more prominent on Horde than Alliance.
You
as
call
well.
them Dragon Slayers? What does that mean? Like PvEers? That's fucking
Oh, yeah,
dope, dude. Is that what you
Yeah,
say?
like PvE mindset. Yeah, like PvE
Slay
first
the
and foremost.
dragon, dude. Slay the dragon. Oh man. So so you think Horde has a higher potential,
Yes.
capacity to perform, but you're just
Yes.
saying like the execution isn't there. Even when we're looking at the top guilds in the world, it's mainly blue right now. I'm saying so.
Well, so like even look, you could be a top guild, okay? Let's say you got top tank and top DPS warriors, okay? The tank fucking gets unlucky on the pull. You're trying to speedrun. Okay, you don't have time to wait for threat. Fucking tank pulls, gets like some parries, some dodges. Oh fuck, DPS warrior gets a Wind Fury crit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
sometimes
that's
it's just sometimes it's just out of your control. And the RNG is a lot more volatile on Horde than Alliance, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Rag. Just look at Rag with warriors doing just one shot. You know, just because if you touch the boss and you get that Wind Fury, you know, if you start proccing.
After the threat wipe, yeah, it's a wrap.
Yeah,
unless the tank taunts instantly, you know.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. Oh, Fly Eagles Fly, thank you for the sub, and Scarm, thank you for gifting the sub as well to Carissa MC. Welcome, guys. The thing is with you know, you see the faction imbalance, right? And what is it generally speaking? Maybe like 60-40 Horde to Alliance, or maybe even a little bit worse than that. It's kind of cool to see the boys in blue holding it down on the leaderboard, though, man. Like they you know, they're unfavored in population and everything, and they're still you know, performing. You know, I don't know. It's cool to see that.
A lot of the top end players chose to roll Alliance too.
Yeah.
In class, a lot of them because of the Nax, the way everything shakes out in Nax.
What do you mean by that? Elaborate.
There's a strong theory that Alliance are stronger in Nax.
Okay.
With what weapons are available and everything.
That's cool, man.
So Alliance, if we're talking in Nax, like misplaced server arm, which chops off trash, you got your humans with their 5 mace skill. Horde don't have any way to get mace skill at all. So, like,
say it again. Yo, you guys are just blowing my mind, man. You said something about mace skill.
Well, that's humans, right? Humans get plus 5.
Oh,
mace
you're
skill.
saying the race. Okay, I got you. I smell what you're cooking. I smell what you're cooking. Yo, show some faction love. Show some faction and server pride, guys. Can you just pull it together and type something in the chat, dude? Shout out your server. Shout out your faction. Let's get some hype. Let's get some momentum. Let's get some movement in the chat, guys. Scarum Horde. I'm seeing a lot of Scarum in the house. We got some Onslaught members in here. Shout out to Ale. There we go. You love to see it. Okay, so gun to my head. Who am I choosing as the #1 world first? Invictus.
Progress. Oh.
I have to say it. I have to say it. Invictus Scarum. Well, that's my.
I really want to push it by Nax, but we'll see how we do on this time around.
You save on Nax. Yeah, you guys have been practicing on the PTR though, right? Going hard, and you're gonna give it a shot. I know you're tentative to say, you know, we're going for world first or whatever, right? But you're going as hard as possible, you know, and seeing what happens. So, yeah, I hope you guys do really well. I mean. What do you think though, Scarm? I mean, do you have a do you know, with all things considered, yeah, like if you had to put $1,000 down on a guild and to really do it, you know, get there first, who do you think you would pick?
If US just opens up first, then I would say Onslaught, most likely.
Damn, the Onslaught love. There's some Onslaught watching right now. That's what's up.
If we got some. If we got EU, like if it all opens up at the same time, like Apes or Progress, I would say.
Apes or Progress, okay.
Maybe Onslaught too. I'm not counting them out completely, but they're Apes and Progress now are definitely in the mix if they get to play at the same time.
I really hope they open it all at the same time.
All at the same time?
I would hope they do.
In retail, they have that issue too. They were saying that they open it up by region too, so the different regions would get advantage.
That usually doesn't crush the EU dream because like they're just so much better coordinated than the very self-centric like US players. Yeah, tend to be very self-centric. So like they wind up passing in progression. You know, the US guilds
every time.
At the very end. Yeah.
I see.
Just like they will on Tuesday.
Crix,
but that's not going to happen if there's, you know,
who you
it's going to
voting
be done
for, Crix? Who you voting for, man?
Onslaught or Apes.
Onslaught or Apes? Okay. All right. A lot of Onslaught love, and there's some Onslaught people watching right now, so shout out to Onslaught. Those are battle buddies on Scarum, holding it down.
Some big pumpers.
Some big pumpers, man. I was there with them leveling on week 1 in that raid.
They're big sweaty.
Dude, okay, so week 1, right? Week 1. I'll tell you guys a little funny story. You guys remember the raid meta for dungeon clearing, right? For leveling, right? You remember that, Scarum?
Yeah.
You're probably doing that. Yeah. So it's week 1. I'm tired, man. I'm struggling through it. I'm eating all these microwavable meals, dude. I'm straight gamer husk, as we say, man. I'm slouched over like this, man. Like my motivation is low. I'm not streaming. I'm all ate up like Jojo the Duck. So I'm in there. I get invited to an Onslaught 10-man leveling. I was going as hard as possible These guys were like 7-8 levels ahead of me. They just had not slept at all. And they were full gamer husk mode. And we're doing ZF with 10 people. And they're doing the fattest pulls I've ever seen in my life. And the Warlock is taking little micro naps between Hellfires. Like they're shouting out when it's safe for him to Hellfire, and he's like putting his mic down to like rest for a couple seconds before he has to Hellfire. And I'm sitting there like, yo, these Onslaught guys are just like elite Navy SEAL commandos of classic WoW. I've never seen people go this hard before. That they're super dead, but they're still like just so. They were so on point mechanically, so sweaty, man. And it was full poop sock, man. I remember going there and leaving that and going like, damn, dude, these guys are setting the bar high. So anyway, shout out to Onslaught. All right. So how fast do you guys think BWL is going to be cleared?
Like on average,
An
or
hour.
like a good guild?
By the top guilds, are we looking at a thing?
Less.
An hour?
Yeah, it depends on how much trash you want to skip. If you want to risk that sands, like the lack of sands on Chromagus, but yeah, an hour.
I mean, so the world record right now in full Nax gear is something like 20-something minutes. We have it playing in the background right now as we speak, but like, you know, that's full everything, right? You think with MC gear, you're still looking at an hour?
MC gear, full consumables, you're gonna have DM buff. Yeah, people will raid log with the DM buff. I think that it depends on how hard they want to sprint through it and how much trash they want to skip. But if they go full commit, like it's easy an hour, easily under like 45 minutes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Damn. Okay. All right.
Depends on how much you can skip too.
Moving on to the next question then. What do you think the tuning is going to be like? So the difficulty compared to private server version BWL, you know, Nostalrius, Elysium, all these Lightbringer, OG Vanilla, and what we've seen in Classic, you know, with everything. You think it's going to be harder, easier, about the same?
Easier than P servers.
It's definitely with Lightbringer, like with the Nost core, armor values were higher by about like 900-ish, which is huge. Just that change and nothing else is going to make it a lot easier in Classic. Bosses are going to die faster. Yeah. Veil, it's going to be easier to kill Veil before the tank blows up, for example.
So, but we were saying, remember we did this, it's like deja vu, we did this exact same type of panel for MC, and we were saying the same stuff going into MC. Do you think that predictions came true with MC? MC is easier than private server?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you think it's going to be consistent down, okay, all right.
If the armor values stay the same, that's like the main factor.
Was there anything about current version, you know, live MC on Classic that was harder or like presented a unique challenge? There was some differences with trash and stuff that we noticed on our side.
Well, they're bugged. Like surges were bugged at first, and everyone was confused, and then it turned out that was a bug, and then it got changed. So it's like part of that.
BWL, or
we're talking about MC. Like lava surgers originally, like even if you were stacking, they would charge you from like point blank, and everyone was like, "What the fuck? Why are they doing this in Classic?" And it turned out that was a bug, and that's since been fixed. So a lot of those things can be attributed, I think, to just Blizzard messing up at first. Because remember, fucking beta was only till level 45. They didn't fucking test anything after that. Why, I don't know, but...
So another question that you brought up, Egregious, that you were curious about, especially coming from like someone who's potentially going for like, you know, top rank or clearing as fast as possible, full pumper mode engaged. I mean, how much trash you can skip would be a big deal, because when you look at the MC speed clears, you're like invis potting, you're sneaking past a whole bunch of packs together, taking shortcuts and stuff like that. That is something that's very much on your mind, huh?
Yes, there are two major skips that you could do, which is the trash, the Death Talon, like Dragonkin after Veil. You can pull that whole room out with a hunter or something, and you know, sneak the whole raid through to the suppression room, skip that whole trash, and then you can also do an invis pot in the lab area and just skip all the trash up to Ebon Rock and Flaming War. So, but if you do that, you run the risk of not having many Hourglass Sands for Chromagus. That's the downside.
Sure.
There's another method. I was watching Guild Vanguard and Kronos do this. For that trash, they were like, I think it was a rogue. They were having a rogue sprint and gather like as many trash packs as possible, right? The rogue would run to a corner and pop Flask of Petrification, which is a minute long, and then all the mobs are just on that rogue, and everyone else just kind of sneaks by.
Yeah, it's like a minute-long ice block that you just...
Yeah.
Does he get advantage off, or does he 100% does he die?
I think I don't know. He might die, he might not. But
It depends. I mean, with batching, you'd probably die.
Yo, isn't that insane though? That in vanilla, it's something that you notice that even the most obscure consumables and items, and just the thing that looks like the most weird, bizarre thing that would never have any use, you will find like an actual viable use for it. Happens all the time, every day. It's like one of my favorite things about the game. You know.
We were wondering if you could flask of petrification the bomb on Veil, but I think that you're not gonna be able to do that.
On private, you weren't even able to ice block out of it, so
Yeah.
we'll see
we're gonna test a couple things with the bomb on week 1, but we'll see what happens.
you know, instant hurt and blow up.
We're gonna see it. We're gonna try something.
So just to ask you guys too, also the chat, please. We need to get more hype in the chat, more likes in the stream. Do all that, guys. Let's light up the chat with some answers here. What is your favorite raid of Classic? Or even, I guess, where does BWL stand in your mind? Fun-wise, lore-wise, everything with relation to the other raids.
To me, it's my second favorite, I think. Nax is my favorite, and then BW.
I like AQ.
AQ,
really
you
solid.
did not hear that answer that much.
Fucking
Wow.
bug tunnel. I hate AQ.
Egyptian.
The bug tunnel, yeah.
You like
I
that?
mean-
You like that Egyptian motif,
I love that
Grix?
Egyptian stuff. Yo, I love it.
You love it. Okay. All right.
I think the Nax bosses
Culture,
are just really great.
IRLs and shit.
The structure of Naxxramas is really fun.
Yeah.
The structure of AQ not so fun, but like it's a fun instance. But those,
Storm said ZG's underrated, yeah?
I love
ZG is
ZG.
underrated.
Ooh, ZG.
I mean, that's the
True,
that's
true.
the final. That's actually, if we're gonna go on ZG for a second, that's the one thing that has never been done in this game to this date, right? Is to kill Jinda with all the priests alive. So there's still one world first actually left in this game.
Might have been on private at some point, I'm not
That'll
sure,
get
but
manhandled.
in live it was never done.
Yeah, in live it was never done. So
We're also going to do a quick poll in the chat right now. Put a 1 in the chat if you have never been to BWL before, or if you've just maybe stepped in and didn't clear it. Put a 2 in the chat if you've cleared BWL before, whether it's private servers, back in the day or whatever. I kind of want to get a sense of where everybody's at with relation to this. For me, BWL is my favorite raid. When I think of classic raiding, you call it Dragon Slayers, right, Scarm? Slaying the
Yes.
dragons is just such a cool thing, man. This place has got a ton of dragons in it. You know, it looks cool. And I wanted to start the stream off too with a little reading from the Dungeon Journal. I used to do these like nerdy little videos about the different zones and talking about the lore. So I wish I had a more epic voice, but I'm gonna read this one little thing real quick. Hopefully it's not that cringe. All right, here we go. In the dark recesses of the mountain's peak, Nefarian, the eldest son of Deathwing, conducts some of his most awful experimentation, controlling mighty beings like puppets and combining the eggs of different dragonflights with horrific results. Should he prove successful, even darker pursuits rest on the horizon. Nefarian, so here's the history. Nefarian has vowed to crush Ragnaros. To this end, he has recently begun to bolster his forces, much as his father Deathwing had attempted to do in ages past. However, where Deathwing failed, it now seems the scheming Nefarian may be succeeding. Nefarian's mad bid for dominance has attracted concern from the Red Dragonflight, which has always been the Black Dragonflight's greatest foe. Though Nefarian's intentions are known, the methods that he is using to achieve them remain a mystery. It is believed, however, that Nefarian has been experimenting with the blood of all the various dragonflights to produce unstoppable warriors. So just even reading that right there, it just sounds so cool, man. You're killing the big dragon, man. You're killing the big dragon. To me, it's classic. It's a classic raid, man. It has the feels, man.
Well, it's the fucking Anixia's brother too. So it's like, oh, you've been fucking with Anixia this whole time. Now you get to kill her brother.
Didn't even
With
know
her
that.
cloak. Wearing her
Wearing her
cloak.
cloak.
Yes,
Or
they're
a
siblings.
yep,
So yeah.
that's pretty brutal when you think about it.
Anyway, so that's our little foreplay there. Now let's jump into some of the more tangible strategies. Or no, we got one more slide actually, one more fun slide before we get into it. Okay, before entering, so we just pulled the chat. Let's see, 1s and 2s. So there's a lot of people that I already forgot what I asked, bro. It looks like most people have done it before. Let me see. I think I said 1 if you hadn't been there. Damn, dude, I'm a goldfish. Anyway, how hard is BWL? Can you enter BWL in Prebis? What can the average raider expect from the content? What should you keep in mind going in for the first time? How good is BWL gear? I'm just throwing all these softballs out there. Feel free to knock any of them out of the park. I don't know what's going on.
BWL gear, speaking from Warlocks' perspective, is amazing.
I mean, the gear's absolutely a step up.
Yeah,
They started.
BWL
They
gear
were.
is really good.
This was the first step, sort of, towards more progressive itemization, right? Like the MC loot is not. It was their first attempt at gear, balancing gear, kind of wonky. The sets make a little more sense. Stat priorities, like stat on item, make a lot more sense. big trinkets, big weapons. Like you
Big
get a real
trinkets.
power spike. You get a real power spike in BWL.
You become a power gamer.
So you think from the okay, we were talking about this right before the stream started. The average guild in Classic. Do you think they're gonna go in and one-shot BWL? It's gonna be a piece of cake, walk in the park, no consumes.
If you haven't,
yeah.
if you have not been in BWL, you're gonna wipe a few times on different spots.
Yeah, the
for
difficulty in this instance is a little front-loaded. So like you hit Razor Gore and then Veil, and it's gonna give a lot of guilds, like the average guilds, some trouble.
I agree with that.
If you
you're
pugged
not-
in trade chat in LFG, BWL pug on day one, you're not getting past the first boss, right? Or what do you
I
think?
don't think so.
No.
Like not unless you're going in with like sets, big portions of that raid being guilds or like people who've consistently pugged together.
If you had like 15 or 20 solid people carrying, then yeah, you could get a little ways in. But if it's just like random, hey guys, seems like this would be a good idea.
No chance.
Yeah.
No, you
really
would
think
probably
that's
get
what
past
it
that
is.
You're in
choice.
there for hours and hours. One of those pugs where you're in there for like 5 hours to do 2 bosses.
It's really not like it's the most complicated thing. There are multiple strats you can use to approach Razor Gore, but it's just like the step up in difficulty is a lot. Like you have to know what the mobs do. You have to be all over the casters, or they're gonna just start blowing up your raid. You have to understand how to deal with the dragons, the dragonkin. Otherwise, they're just gonna murk your tanks. So
Exactly.
there's difficulty in it.
We hear it all the time these days where everyone's like, MC's easy, it's face roll. And it is, to an extent, of course. But then if those people carrying that mindset in the Blackwing Lair, especially if you're like in a pug or in a raid who doesn't really know what they're doing, immediately, like I said, the very first boss, there's not even any trash. It's the first boss just hits you in the face and he's going to give you trouble right away. And it's going to be a wake up call and people are going to get scourged and frustrated. And it can immediately be bad for your guild or group.
And if you do get through that boss, you hit Veil, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
you have
it's
a
like
real-
okay, you beat Razor Gore. Here's something else for you.
And it's a little step up. It seems like there are less mechanics as this going on, which there is visually, but like the bomb, it's hard for people for whatever reason to realize they have a bomb on them, move away correctly. The tank transitions are going to be the hardest part of that boss. Like how do you maneuver a new tank to pick up for the 45-second first tank, and then how many tanks you need.
Exactly. Veil's the very first boss where if you pull aggro, if a DPS pulls aggro and Veil faces the raid, that's
You could, yeah.
in 1 second, literally.
The whole
1.5
raid is
seconds, dead raid. And that's the first boss that does something like that. Even in Nixia, you can survive a breath, you know what I mean? Like half the raid usually can. Veil, it's just you're dead. You're good. That's why
If your healers aren't, if you wind up having too few healers or like too little healing, like that's going to really hamstring you as well. Because like if your healers don't know how to work together as a roster, if you don't distribute your priests, you're going to experience some challenge on that from a healing perspective.
Yep.
Okay, so if you had a spectrum from 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest raid content in Classic WoW, take it for whatever you feel that is, whether it be some Nax encounter or whatever, and 1 being the most brain dead easy fight, where would you rank MC's difficulty level with relation to Blackwing Lair's difficulty level?
Nothing's
Like
really
a solid 2,
yeah.
3.
Like nothing's really
Maybe
above
like a 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, but do you think BWL is like substantially harder than MC, or do you think it's still somewhere in the same?
In terms of execution and like the way that like the tanks are gonna get rocked like compared to MC. And a lot of these people who are going in with the Fury tanking like are gonna have to put on a shield, put on more mitigation gear, which is like within their scope of like they don't have to respec, but I'm just like they're not gonna if you go in and try to 2-hand tank Broodlord, like he's gonna hit you in the face and you're gonna die.
So you think there's a pretty substantial gear check here? Like, could you walk in here in Prebis and clear it out on
Some members of your raid? Some, yeah.
Gear. The more gear you have, the less skill you have to have. So, like,
That's true.
Is it possible to have the skill to clear Blackwing Lair and Blues? So that just depends on the player entirely.
So it's possible you think to clear Blackwing Lair and Blues if you were fresh.
You would
server.
need you would need a lot of consumables to help you out.
Oh yeah, and a World Buster would help, of course.
Yeah.
But like those are things that, and why it's important to know is that gear can drop once a week, maybe, right? And you might not get it. Consumables, if you can farm gold by yourself, you can buy whatever consumables in theory. World buffs, you can get world buffs. So it's like you don't, and people get in the mindset where it's like, I don't have the gear. This is impossible. It's like, well, no, that's not true. You just have to you focus your effort in other areas to make it possible.
Yeah.
All right.
I think what Ale said is true, except for Flame Gore and Ebon Rock, that every boss in BWL is more difficult than every boss in MC. Like
Well, I
they're
agree
all
with that.
stepped up from Ragnaros.
See, these are the type of hard-hitting nuggies that we gotta push to. Like, that's a nuggie right there, dude. Someone, put that. Okay, say that again. Say it again one more time.
Except for Flamegore and Ebonrock, every boss in BWL is more difficult, than every boss in MC. It's a step up from Ragnaros on every single boss.
Every boss is more difficult than every boss in MC. So even the first boss of BWL is harder than Ragnaros. That is
Correct.
Yep, absolute nuggie right there, man. That's an absolute golden.
And it's significantly harder than Ragnaros.
Yeah, significantly harder than Ragnaros, because the Flamegore and Ebonrock, those are just the dragons, right? The tank and spank ones. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean that's just these are things to keep in mind, give perspective. So I've heard this thrown out before, right? I've heard this little nugget thrown out before where people say BWL is going to be a wake up call for guilds, and that people are kind of sleeping, they're going through MC kind of brain dead, doing the basics, and that BWL is going to be a splash of cold water on their face. Do you think that that's going to be true, or do you think that may be an overhyped statement too?
I think it's true. I think a lot of people aren't using consumables, you don't realize how close you are to a wipe when you have 40 people on a really easy boss, right? Like you could, lose control of Doma relatively easily if you do, strats where you kill them one at a time or two at a time. But like, because there's so many people and the skill ceiling is so relatively low, like it's just covered. But like when you start getting poked a little harder, your raid starts falling apart in a more real way. And then you have to actually get together and start actually performing. Like you'll realize where you have some slack, and you'll push that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All good stuff. You have to pick one boss fight, including the trash. That would be the hardest. Okay. Well, do you think you think trash is the hardest thing out of everything in BWL? First of all,
trash is the biggest boss. Just an
enemies.
Yeah.
Okay. So trash is the biggest boss. Okay. So I guess other than is the trash? Is the trash gonna stop a raid in its tracks?
Oh yeah.
Multiple times.
The very first time I tried to pug and lead Blackwing Lair, right? I already had gear. This is already a ways into Blackwing Lair being out. We actually ended up killing Firemaw. We cleared 4 bosses. Our attempt, we're gonna try to go as far as we can, right? But we cleared 4 bosses. After Firemaw, you have to fight like 6 of these lab packs, and then you get Ebonrock, and then right away Flamegore. They're like in the same spot. You can even fight them at the same time. They're the loot pinatas those drop the loot that everyone wants to see. We didn't make it to them because we just wiped too many times on lab packs. We're like, okay, we're calling it because people were tired at that point. So yeah, fucking trash is a fucking very real deal. You have to be paying attention.
You'll wipe more on trash than you will
if you're
on
going
bosses.
through for a clear, right? Like if your guild if you've passed Veilstraz and you've passed Broodlord, I would recommend clearing out the entire floor of Suppression Room, putting on all the devices and opening that space up to kite those lab packs, because those they'll throw dynamite, the summoning, it's just going to be a lot of stuff happening that your raid is not used to experiencing, and if the positioning is bad, they'll get clipped by the dynamite die. So just like open up the space. There's a lot of room there you can really maneuver.
The legendary lab packs, dude. Can you tell me about these lab packs? I think I actually even have a slide for them later, but yeah, I keep hearing these come up. The lab packs: Warlocks, Spellbinders, Technicians, Overseers. This is
Yeah, it's a pack that has 2 Warlocks. I think 2 Warlocks, and then a bunch of Technicians, and your hunter takes the Technicians and kites them around. Everybody nukes the Warlocks. And the tank just has the Overseers.
I see.
This is a shit pack because the Warlocks have the summoning portal, and with summon the big Fel Guards, with Warlocks have Fear, Banish, or just aids.
Would you say that's the hardest trash in all of BWL, the lab packs?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, by far.
Okay.
Well, you get more than one of them too. There's a few of them you have to fight. There's no we won't know till it's live, but as right now, there's not really a lot you can skip with it. And they drop the loot. There's a lot of really, really, really good trash loot in BWL that a lot of people need.
If you're trying to complete your Thunder Fury week 1, you're gonna want to kill all the trash. You're not gonna want to skip anything. You could always go back once you've killed Nef and clear it, which is what we're gonna do.
Okay. So other than the trash, which fight would you say is going to be the hardest fight?
Chromagus is an IQ test.
Chromagus, yeah, Chromagus.
You think so too, Scarm? Chromagus?
Maybe Veil. Maybe Veil.
Maybe Veil.
No, you want to go as early as Veil?
What about Veil?
You gotta get that running shit out. If you get the threat and the running out, you'll be fine. But people will just destroy that at first.
Veil's the most unforgiving, I think. And people imagine anyone who's ever played a warrior or rogue. Just imagine for a second having infinite rage or infinite energy, and how much fun that would be. Like you can just hit all your abilities whenever you want.
You can go full
see huge
subset.
numbers.
Yes.
Sounds fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
execute range is just 10% away.
And guess what? That's like what you want to do, actually, to kill the boss fast. Like, the faster the boss dies, the better. But then, oh, the tank needs to hold threat. Oh, the tank died from a bomb. Who is going to pull a threat next? Or how fast are they going to get to the tank spot? Because I wasn't exaggerating when I said, like, 1 second of Veil facing the raid could mean a wipe. Like, you have to fucking be fast. How many people in the raid, how many Zugzugs in your raid do you know who can quickly move to the tank spot if they pull threat?
Like 4.
Oh, well. I hope one of them pulls threat. Let's put
No,
that
dude,
way.
no, because the people above them will like who you're like, okay, wait a second, and they're already like they've already like
Mhm.
right clicked the boss before. We had to put like when we were practicing, we had to put the melee against the wall facing the fucking wall. So they wouldn't like right click the boss. So you had to run in
Face
there
the
was like
wall,
a
sit in the
natural
corner.
get in the wall, like face the wall, you stupid idiots, like, and then we'd pull the boss, they'd all turn around and run really fast and try to hit the
So if you have
Yeah.
nobody like that in your raid, Veil's easy. Probably is the rest of BWL too, but
So from a
There you
tanking
go.
perspective, I'm curious. We'll get to Veil eventually too, and we'll be talking about the actual strategy. But I remember talking to Mooflake about this maybe 6 months ago, and he was saying, you know, on the private service, you have to go so zug on the tank in order to like, you know, because it's all about
Oh,
the
yeah.
threat management. So he would like use a potion, log out, log back in, use like another potion or something, log out. Like he did some weird like ritual
Yeah.
before doing the Veil pull to go full ham, threat wise. Is that? I mean, that's a very real consideration from a tank, right? Like that's a scary fight for you, I bet.
well,
Yeah,
you
I
have
pop-
the Purds and Corehound, you can do some real damage with that.
and like
Go
as
for
a
it, Spencer.
tank, what I do on Veil is 3 seconds, and this is of course I trust my healers. I've told them what to do. 3 seconds before the fight, I pop Recklessness, right? And then I switch to Berserker stance. Next global cooldown, I pop Death Wish, and then next global cooldown, the fight starts. I can start attacking.
That could clap you.
It could. If
That could
if I'm
clap
popping Stone Shield, if I have a DPS warrior say you demo shout right away, if I'm on Alliance, if I have land hands, if I tell healers like you're not gonna pull threat. As soon as the fight starts, you guys better be fucking casting.
Yeah, you just need 3 priests like at that point.
You need
just, like,
3, that's
flash
all.
heal.
3 out of 12, right? So like
Yeah.
if you can set that all up, that's if I not feeling confident, no, I'm not gonna start the fight like that.
That's the Scarm rotation right there, dude. Clip it and ship it right there. All the tanks
Yeah.
right there. Take it. Soundbite it.
We did that on the PTR, dude, and our main tank evaporated in 1 second.
Well, what about Chromagus though? So you guys think, Egan and Crix, you guys think Chromagus is going to be the hardest? What about Chromagus? You think is gonna?
I just think it's
fuck people
challenging
up?
for
The
the
breaths.
for the average raid. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
the
like
breaths.
the breaths. It's not the same every week, so you don't
If-
get to have like
If you don't have a if you don't have a good time lapse, if you don't have a good off tank, time lapse could fuck you up.
Yeah, that's big. Like positioning the boss too is also kind of like a struggle, right? Because you have to move him pretty far into the
Yeah.
spot that you want to hold him, and then there's a lot of room for like rubber banding, that sort of effect where a boss comes really close to you, and depending on where your tank is, he'll move back, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
like if that could fuck up your melee DPS, fuck up your range line of sight. There's a lot of just like stuff that can go wrong on the pull, and then there's also just different mechanics that change week to week to
Yeah.
throw your rate off. That
If-
takes them a while to learn.
If you have 2 good tanks, that's like, and if there's no time lapse, if you have 1 good tank, that's like 80-90% of that fight, I'd say.
Mhm.
And then because like people have to dispel, but it's literally just like assigning 3 people to only
Yeah,
hit
it's
the
not-
cur-
Like that was hard back in vanilla, but it shouldn't be hard today. I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, but if you have a bad, I would be scared to do Chromag with a bad tank who's either squishy
Yeah.
or doesn't really know a position. That's
Or if you've got like if you're new into MC, right, and your main tank is like under geared compared to what we're expecting going in week 1, like that could be a real consideration.
I agree with that.
It's interesting
your
you guys
threat
say
is hard.
Veil and Chromagus, so no votes for Nefarian. Do you think Nefarian isn't too challenging comparatively?
I think phase 1 is the hardest part of Nef. I think if you get, which is the trash phase, like Nef hasn't even landed yet. I think if you get
don't
that,
really think so.
yeah, if you get through that cleanly, phase 2 and 3 are easier.
Like if you know where to just sit him in phase 2, like you're fine. That's the whole fight.
Like there's
Yeah,
definitely
just not
dumb shit people can do to fuck it up, like mages standing too close and getting the tank and the healers spawning. Like shit like that's a bad idea, but it's easy as like stand over here for the entire fight,
Okay.
So if you're an actual guild, like I said, these things are if a pug, you asked about pugs earlier, these are things that are just a fucking nightmare to deal with in pug, right?
Yeah.
Because you got some asshole, like you got some mage not on Discord standing in the middle of the raid, so it's like, but in an actual guild where people have half a brain, like Nef phase 2 and 3 aren't that bad.
Feels like Veil would be the biggest nightmare ever in a pug. Just
Yeah,
doing that
if-
fight. That
Because
It's
if you
very
get to Nef, think about it. If you get to Nef phase 2, that means you've killed every other boss. all that trash, and you got through Nef phase 1. Phase 2 and 3 are like downhill from there.
So even if the fight in Nefarian is you know, relatively hard, you've already proven, you know, you're able to handle difficult encounters along the way, that it never ends up being too much of an issue because you've already gotten there, right? Yeah.
This is correct.
And I think that like this, in a comparison from private server to retail, like if you look at like Uber's Ren's room, right, like the frequency with which ads come out is so much slower in classic. So like I think that will affect fights like Nef, right? Like those ads are going to come out more slowly. It's not going to be like the same thing with Razor Gore. Like it will be a significantly easier fight than it is on PTR because like those ads are just not going to spawn so quickly and so fast. Like,
okay,
if they don't, that'll definitely make it easier.
yeah. The suppression device. The one difference in the favor of difficulty for classic is that all the PTRs got Broodlord's Mortal Strike timer interval wrong, so he does it at a much higher frequency. So it's actually harder. That's the one boss that might be harder on classic than it was on PTR.
Speaking on the tuning, though, I remember you guys were on the little PTR doing your practice runs and everything like that, and you were talking about how the trash was hitting too hard or something on the PTR too. Like, is there any world where some of the values might be off and maybe the trash is harder come classic or anything?
Well, people have been saying that while leveling. You remember like SM even in the beta, it's like seems like the elites aren't hitting too hard. In MC, it's like seems like things aren't hitting too hard. So it seems like overall in classic so far, things aren't hitting as hard as they were in private.
They buffed, so like the private servers, to make it more challenging and more engaging for the player base, right? Buffed the difficulty of a lot, mostly trash. Like the bosses have, you know, a little bit higher health or maybe higher armor, but like the trash is the real thing that got buffed. And like if you see the flame imps in MC and like videos,
oh
like,
my god,
those are actual nightmare. And like in MC, you could just like a breeze, you just walk through them with melee, doesn't matter, irrelevant. If you walk into them in melee on a PTR or on a private server, you're gonna die.
Oh, I had a guild on private, not a guild. I was in a pug on private server once. It's like 3 a.m. or some shit. We didn't get past the imps.
Yeah,
our raid fell apart.
Crazy. And it's like, the same thing with the imps in the suppression room. Like they were all massively overtuned, similar to the MC imps.
The whelps. Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, so we'll see how that goes.
So like you can go, like people would be clearing those whelps like way earlier. Then you can just walk all the way from the beginning of the suppression room to the like ramp up to the second level. Like you can take all those imps or whelps. Sorry, you can take all those. It's not too big of a problem because they only should hit for like 100.
We'll see.
So Big Ale Gaming, chieftain of the Ale Nation, has a nice point here. He says a big thing to mention as well as you can't taunt bosses except for the Drake. So in MC you could taunt everything if you lose aggro. In BWL it will just start wrecking the top of the threat meter if the tank loses aggro and gets out of melee range. God forbid. What you know? How do you guys feel about that? Discuss.
Crix, how will you adjust?
Be real careful.
As a warlock, man, you're not gonna have tranquil air. There's not gonna be a shaman for you.
No.
How many fucking?
I take it real easy.
You gotta remember every single thing in Molten Core, even Ragnaros, every single thing in Molten Core is tauntable. How many scuffed Ani fucking pulls have you done? Because she's just running all over the goddamn place. She's not tauntable. That's Blackwing Lair. Have fun. If you've ever been in a bad Ani raid, that's most of the bosses in Blackwing Lair. Yeah,
dude, that's clip it and ship it, dude. So many nuggies in this stream, dude. That's it.
And it's so hard. Right, it's so hard when you lose aggro. Like I don't think people understand how challenging it is for your tank to get it back, right? Like, because and people are dumb and they'll keep DPSing. Like if they're personally safe, right? Like the person who has aggro is now running for their life, right? And usually away from the tank because that's just what people do because they're dumb. So everyone else is still full DPSing and the tank is running his stupid ass, you know, after the boss, like attempting to reestablish threat.
Is that good general advice to give DPSers and stuff out there? Like, be careful going into BWL because you could be that guy who, like, you know, I've been there before too. Egregious to seeing it do it. I need those fucking lips, man. I was threat cap.
Lip will be your best friend.
Yeah,
Lip will be your best friend. And like learning how to stop DPS, how to hit that escape button. Like escape is going to become your best friend. Yep. Because like if you pull aggro or if someone else does, you should stop DPS as well.
Yeah.
Like.
Hit escape now. There's also a boss in ZG that you have to escape for, or you'll die.
Yeah.
Bloodlord when he looks at you.
So we're moving into a preparation slide here. So let's assume, even though if you guys are big brains, you've all cleared out BWL in the chat. You guys are power gamers, I get it. But let's assume, just to brush up, that you guys have never stepped foot into BWL before. You know, these guilds, they got butterflies in their stomach, dude. They're hearing these words coming out of Skarm's mouth. They're going, oh man, dude, this sounds kind of rough. What kind of words of wisdom would you give for people going into Blackwing Lair for the first time, you know, advice so that they are safe, you know, following best practices, and then we're also going to tie that into a preparation of what they should be bringing so that they seem high speed for their guild and that they're well prepared and organized and feeling confident heading into the raid.
Watch a couple videos.
Yeah,
They gotta see
familiarize
it.
yourself with the
Watch
fights.
videos.
That's definitely a good place to start.
They're short little videos, 13 minutes, 9 minutes, 8 minutes. They're really short ones that they go over everything. There's ones that go over the trash pools and everything.
You know, while you're sitting and prioritize in general, like, you know, if you find yourself sitting, even if you're playing WoW, if you find yourself like sitting in Ironforge or Org, or if you're in a battleground queue and you just kind of don't know what to do, you're bored. That's when you fucking watch like a video of a fight that you don't know,
or farm some consumables, because that's the
Skarm
biggest.
tank video.
or that.
Yeah.
One of those too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got a good amount of content already on BWL, so I'm sure after the stream that people can delve into that. Yeah.
I had some technical difficulties yesterday. There's more Blackwing Lair videos that I'm gonna put in my video, just like clips from my stream. So if you're on my stream, you saw it already. But I'm gonna be putting those on Blackwing Lair very soon, like today or tomorrow.
Very cool. Very cool. So, okay. Anything else though? What do you, I mean, maybe there's nothing else. Maybe it's just a watch videos type thing.
Consumables. Spend some gold.
Big.
Don't walk in there like, don't use budget consumables.
Mm-hmm.
Like, use the good stuff. Like, it will make a difference. You will notice like the difference if you use budget mana pots. Don't do that. Like, use the good stuff. Don't use, get a flask. Like, a flask of Titans. Did I say this? Melee are just like, we don't have a flask that benefits us at all. And I'm like, you do. It's called Flask of the Titans. It increases your health and your survivability goes way up. Like,
is that a good look as a raid leader? If you see a DPS warrior, Flask of Titans, how does that make you feel? How does it make
I want to
that
get that
guy
loot.
knows. Yeah,
I want to give him loot.
You want to give him loot? Clip it.
There's a meme in our raid. There's a meme in our raid, dude, because like we don't use flasks unless we're doing a speed run or a progression run. So like, there's a meme when we're on fire, like the lava packs in Molten Core, where like if you get fire blossomed or you stand in the fucking like lava like poop and shit, like a Flask of Titans would have saved that. Like, oh, you like wouldn't have died if you had flask, and it's funny because people think like there's no DPS flask, but there is. It's Flask of the Titans. Like, if you pull threat, which happens a lot to our warriors,
if you're going
you
through
get hit once or twice, you're not gonna die.
If you're going through progression and you're a DPS warrior and like you're using a Flask of Titans, to me, if I just highlighted over his nameplate and I saw that, I'd be like, yo, this guy's kind of a fucking tryhard. This guy's kind of dope.
He knows.
Man. This guy.
But it's not even like one, it's hard for them to farm gold, right? Because they're warriors and they hate their life and no one wants them.
It feels more big brain because it's not selfishly inflating his numbers like in the same way like a supreme power is going to raise you on the meters. He's there, and it almost is such a good look for the raid. Like, he's there to clear the content, dude. He's there to progress, dude. He's there to spend gold selflessly. It almost makes him look better than like a mage popping a supreme power.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you wipe. Remember, if you wipe, your flask stays. So if anyone's just like looking over the raid after wipe when everyone's dead and running back, they'll see like, oh, this person's flasked. Oh, this guy's flasked. Even if you fucked up, even if you're the reason the raid wiped, if you have a flask on, people are probably gonna be less mad at you. It's like, oh well, hey, at least he's flasking.
Yup. And Skarm as a raid leader, he wants to give that guy loot. He is DPS warrior with Flask of Titans on. He's like, dude, this guy's getting the loot, man. He's getting the loot first. He's going trying hard. So, yeah, that's one thing. Okay, another thing. Week 1 Fury tanking. We talked about it a little bit before the stream started. So this is referring to Fury Defiance tanking, dual wielding with one-handers. Is this something that the average guild should try to do moving into Blackwing Lair on the first week? Or should they take some baby steps and go sword and board? Or, I mean, I guess with tanking, it's a combination of swapping between both dynamically, perhaps, too. Which might always be the case.
What I've been telling, because I've been getting this question on my stream, too. You don't have to spec deep prot, okay? If you're already comfortable with playing Fury prot, if you're already comfortable with the spec, just the idea of it, you can stay Fury prot. If you're going to a fight that you're new to, just maybe you're unsure about, start off with a shield. Maybe tell your DPS, like if it's your fucking first 9 there, it's okay to say like, hey, hold off for a few seconds while I get to that, right? Mm-hmm. Watch that meter, right? That's reasonable. It's very reasonable. You can still be Fury prot and still have a one-handed and a shield on. Mm-hmm. Especially those of you who are getting Thunder Fury in Blackwing Lair. You can still have a shield on, and you still have Death Wish, you still have Flurry, you still have all these things from Fury Prot that still make you generate a ton of threat. So it's okay to, and then if, hey, the fight starts and you're not taking a lot of damage, then yeah, put it on your offhand. Why not? So answer is you don't have to spec Deep Prot. Nobody does for BWL. If that's what you're comfortable with and you want to, then fine. I'm not telling you not to. But don't feel like it's mandatory if you're already comfortable with playing Fury Prot.
Fury Prot, okay. Okay. Sounds good. And then okay, so that settles that. So you can do both, is what I'm taking from this. You could serviceably tank as a deeper protection spec, or you could Fury Defiance tank, but maybe take some baby steps moving in there on week 1, and it's okay to tell your DPS to chill for a second.
Yeah, and we're talking average guild people. They're obviously taking this advice. Yes.
Yep. Okay. So as far as preparation too, if you want to feel confident and high speed and organized and look like a good asset to your guild, what consumables, other than, you know, the basic ones, you know, for your elixirs and your, you know, and all that stuff, like
Yeah, your situational.
yeah, your situational consumables. There you go. Which one should you be bringing to Blackwing Lair?
GFPs.
Yeah, protect. And there's a lot of fire going around, even on some of the trash, on some of the bosses. Shadow protection for Nef. In general, I like just you know, the more consumables the better. Like bring potions, bring more fire protection potions.
Are Dreamless Sleeps out yet?
Yeah, I don't love them. Well,
You do that for Chromagus. It's not like
yeah, and then someone dispels you immediately because you have a debuff. Watch. It's gonna
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
We just got a huge host right now from High Warlord Stino, my man.
Nice.
Much love to you, Stino. Thank you so much. Welcome all the ballers to the chat. Over 700 people in here plus. Actually more. Basically 800 people in here total watching the stream. The ballers are family. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for the host, man. I'm going to get you back ASAP. We're talking about BWL. It's coming out. Phase 3. You love to see it. It's going to be here before we know it in the blink of an eye. We're talking about preparing. Thanks again, man. So you said the shadow protections for Nef. Fire prot for Veil.
Veil, Fire Maw, and then some of the trash. Like the lab packs, fire
packs,
protection's good.
You use Razor Guard if you're just to be more safe.
Oh yeah, you can do
Around that
Razor Guard
pillar,
too.
just to be really safe if you have a.
And at MC, you bring maybe 1-2 GFPs and some smaller, cheaper fire protection potions too. And you recommended a stack, so 5 greater fire protection potions.
So we're talking progression. You might wipe,
yeah.
you know? You might not one-shot every boss.
I mean, those, you know, the lab packs, dude. Like Veil, you should definitely have a GFP on going in, and then that might be the potion that you use in combat too. If you think you're gonna dip low, yeah. If you think you're gonna dip low, you're not really, like, you know, your rate is a little shaky. It's new to you.
So remember, you're not using mana potions on Veil. You're not using rage potions on Veil. So you're not using Thistleseed on Veil.
If you didn't know on Veil, you have all your resources: mana, energy, rage, and
yep. We'll get into the mechanics.
Unlimited amounts of all of it.
So 2x greater shadow protection potions for Nef. A stack of GFPs for Veil and Trash. Maybe some cheap fire protection potions too. The regular ones too. If you can't afford the GFPs, better than nothing, right? Flask of Titans. On the main tank, mandatory. Could you talk about that for a second too, Scarm? We talked about it before the stream. It was pretty juicy.
Yeah, so here's the thing about flasks, right? Flasks are expensive, right? I'm not denying they're not. Lotuses are fucking and so the idea, if your raid leader were to tell you, like, hey, I want all 40 people to bring at least 1 flask. You could even say 2, but let's say at least 1 flask, right? Say I want all 40 people to bring 1 flask to buy. That might sound like crazy. Like, I thought we're a casual guild. We're not hardcore. Like, we're not try-hard guild. Like, that's not what I was told. To have 1 flask, Blackwing comes out on the 12th of January, right? Or sorry, February. And we've known it's coming out, right? We've had time to prepare. The idea of getting, 150 gold, let's say, to get 1 flask in that amount of time, I don't think it's a stretch for anybody who's hit 16, who actually... And then if you're planning to raid Blackwing Lair week 1, nobody's forcing you to do that, right? Not all guilds will be ready. You might just wipe on Razor Guard night, okay? Some guilds, and I've even talked to some guilds who are like, we're going to wait like 2 weeks, right? Until we get some issues hammered out. That's totally fine. If you're the type of player who wants or maybe expects yourself to get a raid spot and raid week 1 Blackwing Lair, bring a flask with you, okay? You have plenty of time to get 1 for your class. That could be Titans, that could be Supreme Power, Distilled Wisdom, whatever, class you are. And you don't have to necessarily pop it right away. Like, if I'm the raid leader, let's say I'm leading a casual guild, okay? I'm not going to say pop a flask as soon as you zone in. But let's say we're on Veil, right? And he's just like, we got to 8%, and then to 6%, and then to 4%. And we're just like, now, oh, fuck, we might have like 2 more pulls until the raid's over. Or maybe not 2 more. You want to time your flasks accordingly, right? They're 2 hours. But let's say, well, okay, there we go then. Like, if your raid has like 2 hours left.
Yeah, 2 hours to just pop a flask.
You feel like it's going well.
If you're on the wall.
Yeah. If you're either like either it's going well or you're on a wall towards like, okay, we just need a small boost, right?
So like this is what I think about consumables and all this. Like there are 3 ways to improve your chance of killing a boss, right? So like the whole goal is gear, right? If you're killing bosses to increase your power level. So you can either wait. So if you go into a raid and you hit a wall, there are only 3 ways that you can improve. You can get more practice. You can just do it over and over and over until you finesse out every single roll. You can go back and start farming more gear in the spots that, so you're now at Vale. Vale's your wall. You can only farm the gear under him. So all of MC and Razorgore. And you can just keep getting more gear and more gear and more gear and see if you can push through that wall. Or you can use consumables. And so like usually a combination of these 3 things is what you do. Like, but if you really like, if you think you're close, if you think you have a good shot, a consumable push will definitely like drive your raid forward. Like world buffs going in, like if you come into Razorgore with world buffs, like I would recommend popping a flask right there just so you can preserve those world buffs.
There is a substantial mental effect when you pop a flask or you use some consumables and shit like that, especially a flask, at least for me. Like you have invested your gold that you worked hard for. You spent hours either in Maradon or Dire Maul or whatever to afford that flask. So when you pop that thing, you become more high speed because your time is ticking and you want to get good value from your flask too, right? Like the incentives align. Everybody wants to go full pumper mode. Where if you're there, no consumes, you kind of don't give as much of a shit. You can wipe a few times, you're like whatever, right? But
it's like world boss. It's like your ass is on the line. Like if you die, that's permanent loss.
And imagine telling your whole raid to flask to get that mental boost, and only like 10 people or 5 people do it, if that.
That might even be the biggest effect of the flask of all. I'm not even joking. You
might be on something here, really.
Doubling down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So chat guys? Do you think it's unreasonable to ask your entire raid to get 1 flask between now and the time you do Blackwing?
It depends on the goal, right? Like if you like, how many bosses do you want to kill, right?
Well, even just I'm saying have it in your bag just in case.
Oh no, absolutely. You should always have a flask.
So you're saying not even pop it, just have it there for that like little.
Well, hey, that's a mental boost, right? Just having it, knowing it's there.
True. You have the ace up the sleeve, right? You got the ace tucked up there, and you're ready to go, right? Like if you hit a brick wall to rebound the morale after a bad wipe, maybe you go, all right, guys, time to go Super Saiyan. Let's pop our flask,
That's right. Pop your sensu bean.
Yep. There you go. Okay, I like this. This is so many good nuggets in this conversation.
I like that psychology too. Like that psychology of like utilizing full consumables and.
Okay. So also Stone Shield Potion and Holy Waters. These might be a little bit more niche, but we were talking about this before the stream too. What are the applications of these 2 consumables here?
Tanks, I will probably my first Blackwing Lair. I'll probably bring like 30 Stone Shield Potions. Like I pop those on trash. I pop those on bosses. Those are my favorite consumable.
What does it do if you could you were about to say it. Yeah.
2k armor for 2 minutes, which is basically
it also scales with inspiration and ancestral form.
Yes, it does. It's so doesn't scale with bear form, but it scales with those buffs. And it's like having a shield even if you don't have a shield on, right? If you have a shield on, you just have that much more armor. So it's definitely a great consumable for tanks to have. The Holy Waters just for Nefarian. There's undead ads in phase 3 that spawn. That's all you need to know, really. Holy Water from Stratholme affects undead ads. You could also use sappers. Those do a little bit more damage, but if you're not an engineer, if you don't want to have a sapper, if that's too hardcore for you, then at least bring Holy Water.
Holy Water. That's crazy. I never even thought about that until I didn't even know they shared a cooldown with sapper till today, so I learned something today, too. Still learning stuff. Crazy.
Right.
Okay, so I think that does it with regard to preparation going into there. We talked about, mentally, how you should feel going into it, what kind of consumes. We can always revisit it if we think of something else. But the next slide, I just want to really quickly bring up the overview, like the map of Blackwing Lair too, so we can kind of visualize it together. So there's going to be a little bit of delay on the stream, but are you guys able to see the map on the screen right now?
I have it right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe you could walk us through, visually what to expect. If you can get a sense of the overview of the raid in a whole, you might feel a little bit more confident navigating it and just being in there in general. Just feel a little bit more comfortable because you know how things are lined up. So where do you enter in Blackwing Lair, and how do you progress through this labyrinth?
So to enter Blackwing Lair, to get attuned, people are probably attuned already. That came out already. If you're not, you have to kill an NPC outside of Ubers and then do Ubers, click an orb, you're tuned. That's been out since the 10th of January. And other than that, once you're tuned, Blackwing Lair is actually located in Ubers. After you clear Rend, if you go to the left instead of the right, that's where Blackwing Lair is. You see that green portal. But once you're tuned, you go to Ubers, right? You jump across that little balcony and you're looking at the Ubers portal. You go right, and then you go all the way down to where there's like a dead end and an orb. You click that orb, and then you're in Blackwing Lair. So it's pretty easy to get to.
And
the
then
hallway you never go down.
Once we're in it, though, because this is actually showing the inside part of it, right? This is where the eggs are at here. How do we navigate through this to Nefarian from the beginning, from Razorgore?
Okay, so you step in, all of a sudden you're like staring at Razorgore in the face, like you're right there in that room.
Egg room.
Yeah, after you kill Razorgore, you go into the next room, which is just forward. That's Vale's room. All right, and once you kill Vale, you go up to the after you enter his room, you go up to the left, and then you fight some trash. You go up and around, and then you go up like 2 more flights of stairs, like up and then to the left again, straight up. Now you're in the suppression. You do the suppression room, which is 2 levels, and then you're now after the suppression room, you're looking at it's kind of like a hallway you're going upstairs. You're going up this it's a ascent, right? Like at the very top is the balcony where you fight Nefarian. So after it's not like MC's kind of like doesn't seem super linear, right? Kind of seems all over the place. Blackwing Lair is very streamlined. It's very straightforward. It's impossible to get lost. You know what I mean? You're basically just in somewhat thin hallways the whole time. Just kind of navigating around. You go left, you go right, and then you're constantly going up. Eventually, after these lab packs, you fight the 2 drakes, Ebonrock and Flamegore.
It doesn't feel too big either, Blackwing Lair.
It doesn't feel too big, no.
Yeah.
Because again, it's all kind of a lot of it overlaps. It's almost like a tower.
Well, especially how much running and MC you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, MC's a lot bigger than Blackwing Lair for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this may not be that useful for you guys watching, but just it's not that big, not that serious. Like Scarm saying, you're not going to get lost, and
it's impossible to get lost. It's all one way. There's no way you get lost.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next slide then. Okay, so we're going to talk about trash for a second here. We talked about the lab packs, suppression room trash also, and then the Death Talent Overseers you were saying after suppression room. General thoughts on trash in general here. You say you were popping some consumes on trash, tips and tricks related to BWL trash, because we've already established for MC as well that trash is the hardest boss, right? So if it's truly the hardest boss, what kind of strategies can we implement to take care of the trash?
First of all, take it seriously.
Yeah, it's.
You want to go ahead?
Aggro.
No, I mean, take it seriously. Clear as much space. If it's your first time in there, you're not going for speed or anything, clear all of the trash. They're great drops off the trash, Epic's really good. You want the sands for Chromagus. But yeah, take it seriously. Say about it, talk about it.
So I was in another Discord the other day, and someone was saying something along the lines of oh, my boss parts is I don't pop cooldowns on trash because I want to save them for bosses, so my parts will be high, right? I'm sure a lot of people have that mentality, sad to say.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who have that mentality are, assuming they're not even just AFK on trash in general, assuming they're even there at their keyboard, they're probably not trying too hard. They're not popping potions. If they die, they'd rather just die than, may save themselves.
Put your PvP gear on for the technicians.
Oh, fuck yeah. Because that's...
Fire resist.
Yeah, because trash, you might not get past the trash. It's a big deal in Blackwing Lair.
So take the trash seriously. Put PvP gear on. Okay. So that's another thing I wanted to ask you guys too. So especially from a healer perspective, this is kind of juicy. In BWL, are you shifting your loadout a bit, itemization wise? Are you going maybe for MP5 or weird stuff? Is stuff what's going through your mind as a healer and tank? I guess you just keep a ton of stuff in your bag and switch stuff around situationally. But what are some
definitely more raid damage? Definitely more raid damage. So health potions, protection potions, flask of titans, more stamina gear. That's definitely worth considering for everybody.
FR and stuff too. You have a lot of FR. You have a FR set on you.
Only the tank. The only fight where and again, it's not mandatory, but the only fight where I would still wear FR at all for the most part is Firemaw. Tanking Firemaw, you want FR to make those stacks fall off. It just makes the RNG tilt. But other than that, none of the DPS you can wear if you want, but none of the DPS. No one else needs FR besides the tank, and the tank only really needs it for Firemaw. Vale too, to an extent. Vale does fire damage. You can always get that Uber's buff next door, the fire resistance one that you might control the mobs. You can always do that.
I mean, that would be a huge play if you had that going in.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guilds do that for Vale, and
we did that for MC, you did, and it was there was nothing to heal.
Just remember, when you zone out a Blackwing Lair, you zone out of Ubers, and hopefully there's not a group of fucking opposite faction waiting for you. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Okay, so your personal strategies on dealing with the lab packs with Warlocks, Spellbinders, are you kiting stuff away? How do you guys personally deal with some of these mobs?
The Hunter kites the technicians who just throw bombs while everybody nukes the Warlocks.
Mm-hmm. The Warlocks need to die fast.
Personal raid Warlocks banish the Warlocks have a summoning portal that come out, and then out of the summoning portal come Felguards, which your actual raid Warlocks need to banish while you guys finish out the Warlocks. and then technicians, and then spellbinders, and then overseers.
If you have like a 500 IQ mage, you can like ball up the technicians right in like a little pocket, and then have your mage run around them at like max range AoEing.
Yeah,
right, like hitting AE.
That's correct. The overseer and the spellbinder, they do like the overseer cleaves, the spellbinder does a flame strike on the tank. Both of those though can just be tanked in the corner away from everyone else. You just got to keep those 2 tanks healed. But other than that, those mobs can be like taken out of the fight. You can even kite them if you really want to.
I would recommend if it's new to you, put down all the suppression traps in the room with Broodlord and just use that whole space.
So I can actually read them here one by one. So Blackwing Warlock casts a rain of fire that does 925 to 1075 damage per tick. Also summons enraged fell guards. These mobs must die first as they have the greatest potential to wipe the raid. So
I don't know about that, but they can be banished.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can banish them. Banish till the end.
The spellbinders are immune to magical attacks. Can only be melee. They cast greater polymorphs and drop flame strikes that hit for 1600 to 1900. So what is the order of operations for you? Warlocks then spellbinders?
Warlocks and then goblin, because the spellbinders and the overseers, again, they, like I said, they can just be tanked in the corner and be dealt with later, or just kited. The warlocks definitely need to die first. They're definitely by far the most dangerous. And then I would say, like, casters get on the goblins.
Yeah,
the melee never want
melee on the warlocks and then casters on the goblins.
Yeah, and the melee don't want to ever fuck with the goblins anyway. So after, like, you could just tell melee after the warlocks die, go on the spellbinder. That's what you, and then the casters deal with the goblins and the overseer.
Okay. All right. Let me see if there's anything else.
And like cooldowns like Death Wish, Blade Flurry, use those on the warlocks every time. Those once the 2 warlocks die, raid damage like almost stops.
So the overseers not only do they do resistant to most schools of magic. That's why you put the melee on them, right? Yeah.
Well, then you put the melee on the spellbinders because they're immune to all magic.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
I mean, additionally, like if you run after a goblin as a melee, like you're gonna get clipped by the dynamite.
And the goblins have a ranged AoE grenade that deals substantial damage.
And there's a bunch of them. There's like 10 of them.
Like one smart mage or one smart anybody can handle all the goblins.
Okay.
If you're super pro, you can have one mage at 12 o'clock and then one mage at 6 o'clock, and they can run, in circles in the same direction.
So in your experience, what is the nightmare scenario with the lab packs? How is the raid getting wiped by the lab packs?
The nightmare scenario is a healer gets aggro on the goblins, and then they all turn to because all the goblins, they all have like a hive mind threat table, I guess you want to call it. You're never gonna have one goblin look at one person, the other one looking at the other. They're all looking at the same person, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so if they all look at a healer and just fucking chuck dynamite in the raid and kill everybody, which is literally it'll just kill range instantly.
Not just healers.
You'll never see it coming. Yeah,
it's all these greedy DPS people have that you can't touch them.
It's hard to notice too because they don't like all run over. They're all standing in one spot and throwing this dynamite. That's kind of hard to see unless you look closely. Mm-hmm. So it's not like by the time you notice it's too late, right?
Okay.
Or the warlocks. The warlocks, not only do they do that rain of fire, which you just have to get out of. Remember, there's 2 of them. But they also have an AoE Shadow Bolt they should be able to be interrupted.
Yeah.
But imagine AoE Shadow Bolt and rain of fire and like some dynamite going off. That's just your whole raid dead.
Yeah. I mean, your shamans and your rogues and warriors should be on top of that.
Exactly. But if you're standing out of rain of fire, if you interrupt the Shadow Bolts, if you have the goblins under control, if you kill the warlocks fast, then it's smooth.
Like it's once you get it down, it's an easy pack if you get it down. It's just it's shit.
Mm-hmm. If not having a plan going in will wipe you.
When the healers get aggro of the goblins, is that just a face pull type of situation, or is this?
Well, that's whoever pulled the goblins not having enough threat.
Yeah, if they heal too early, or if they're like if you want to move something really far, typically I find that moving trash or anything a great distance is like a bad idea because your healers will sometimes pull, right? Because like a lot of damage will be happening and like not a lot of threat will be generated, so like your healers will still be needing to heal though, and they'll pull aggro. So like just make sure that you pull them not too far, like generate threat on them quickly, and your healers should never pull aggro, but like it's a possibility.
Okay. So be really careful of that for all the healers out there. Be careful not to heal too soon or to get the threat because they can chuck a round of dynamite out there and kill everybody.
Exactly.
Okay, suppression room trash. This is something is this overhyped? I mean, this is a legendary room here. How do you deal with suppression room trash, and what is it? If you could explain it to the people.
There's only 3 types of trash in Suppression Room. There's whelps, which are just there's a bunch of, you have a tank on them, they barely hit you, right? There's just a ton of them. All this trash has all the whelps have like a 30-second respawn time, like 30-45 seconds, and the other trash has like a 10-15 minute respawn time, right? So you don't have to, like, in other words, you have to keep moving. That's the main theme of Suppression Room. You have to keep moving. The rogues, there's suppression devices that slow the fuck out of everyone. Rogues just have to click them, right? Simple now. So there's those whelps. There's the hatchers, which are like dragons, right? Dragonkin that do flame strike. They do it to the tank. The tank just wants to face them away, and then have everyone else blow them up. There's also these healers, these warlocks, these packs of 3 orcs that patrol around. All they do is like prayer of healing. They're sheepable.
So use grenades.
Yeah, they can be CC'd, sheep, stun, all that, and they just heal, AoE heal, which is kind of good.
So they can't be interrupted. They can't be interrupted. They can only be stunned or sheeped.
Correct. Yeah, you can't like kick the heal. That's right.
Yeah.
But the heal's not even like it's not even a huge deal. Sometimes you want the whelps to be healed because they're gonna die, you know. And you want to keep the whelps alive so that like sometimes you want to keep all of them alive at the same time so you don't start the respawn timer, so that you can kill them all at once and then have people drink. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. So what is the nightmare situation with Suppression Room that things go wrong, it spirals out of control, raid is wiped?
Someone AFKing, fucking literally, and because when like someone AFKs, they'll pull respawns, and then it'll go back to the group when they're not expecting. Or just like it sounds silly, but that's everyone's got to be present.
Yeah.
It's massively tuned up on the private server, so I definitely think it's overhyped. But you just need your rogues. You need a strat with your rogues, like where they'll be. You need your hunters. Like a great idea is if you're putting suppression devices down ahead, have a hunter go put like their explosive trap on it, so that if the whelps do die and they do respawn, they don't instantly aggro your rogue and pull them out of stealth, and then your rogue has to.
So if someone is AFK or steps away or or maybe lags in a bad direction, how does it spiral out of control there? He stays there long enough for the respawns, and then
it's a gauntlet, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then the last one is the trash with the death the worm guys after the final trash. Do you have any tips for those, or are those not too bad?
Wand to discover, or rank 1 Shadow Bolt, Frost Bolt, Flame Shock, whatever, to discover their elemental vulnerability, and then you can start marking them like red for fire, square for frost vulnerability, and then you can start having people crank on them.
Okay. All right, so this is the high-level overview of the trash here, right? I can't think of any other trash that might be an issue. If there is anything, say something in the chat. We can talk about it for a minute. But now,
I think Crick said the other day, like he was like, definitely don't use a full rank spell going into the Death Talent Overseers or Watchers, because like he said he Shadow Bolted one and it crit.
Yeah, you can. You can crit for like a 7K or something.
Now you're the tank.
Yeah, and you can't.
It's not good.
On them back, you just rip.
Okay.
Be real careful. DPS be really careful, especially Warlock. Because if you're a Warlock, you already know you're.
I'm not sure if you can detect magic them. I don't know.
Someone's drinking a beer. Someone cracked a bang. Something like that.
Me.
Nice. Red Bull? Okay.
It's trash beer.
Oh, okay. All right, we're on to Razor Gore, guys. So I know you guys have probably some big brain strats to and do it in your own way. But if you had to lead a fresh raid of people who have never stepped foot into Blackwing Lair before, and their IRL lives were their characters' lives, and you had to make sure that this needle got moved forward, and you had to take Razor Gore out in the most, the safest and highest, win rate line of play
type shit.
How are you going to take on Razor Gore? And if you could explain the fight, conceptually, like what's going on and stuff. People know it as the egg
really
fight.
It's really a toss-up. It's a toss-up between if you want to do 4 corners or if you want to do 2 sides, right? So like this fight is set up in a square room with like distributed eggs all around, 2 platforms on either side. On the left platform, as you enter, they're going to be the mind controllers who are holding Razor Gore in thrall, and then you go up to them, kill them, and then you have one of your players take over the orb. A lot of the time, people use like a ranged DPS or a rogue or whatever, and you start mind controlling Razor Gore, and you get his ability bar, and some of them are pop eggs for whatever reason. He just wants to kill all his children. So you go around the room killing those one by one, and in the meantime, from each of the 4 corners of the room, ads will spawn. And Scarm, if you want to go tell them about the ads. So I forget a little bit of the minutia for the ads, but
So for Razor Gore, the ads are there's only 3 ads. There's the Warlocks, there's the Legionnaires, the Mages and Legionnaires. They're both orcs. They have to die quickly, but they do die quickly. They don't have a lot of health, right? And then there's the Dragonkin that have more health. They just melee and cleave, but
they chunk your tank though. They'll chunk
your tank, and they'll definitely chunk DPS who pull aggro.
Yeah.
So you need to hold. They're tauntable.
You can fear and also hibernate them.
You
Yes,
should
you can.
fear if you have more than one dragon on each. You have warlock on at least a warlock on each side, assuming you have more than one, and you fear if one comes out. Unless you're just nuking them down, then you just do it if there's 2 out, and you would fear one off and just keep them feared. Also, when you are mind controlling, when he's in mind control and he's far away, the ads will come out and go to him as well. So you need to make sure.
Yeah, if your mind control breaks.
Yeah, caster pulls it or something, so he doesn't just sit there and dump on the mind control.
They will. So the Legionnaires, if you break your mind control, the Legionnaires will chunk him really hard. They have like an ability that does more damage to him. So be very careful with the Legionnaires.
Okay, gotcha.
But the fight is pretty straightforward. You just have to manage the ads during the period of time where Razor Gore has to kill every single one of the eggs, and then it's good practice right before the last egg. You swap whoever's mind controlling with your main tank, because like the mind control and egg break gives you like 100% threat on Razor Gore. So swap right before the last egg. Swap whoever's mind controlling with the main tank. Have everyone go behind some line of sight feature. Doesn't matter where. It's up to you as a raid. But find some line of sight feature, because Razor Gore will beeline for your tank and he'll conflag. And if he conflags your raid, you're all gonna die.
That's true.
Well said. Okay, guys, so a bit of an update here. I think we're going to do this BWL guide in kind of a series, hopefully. We can do them in kind of episodes or something like that. Maybe 2 episodes would be enough. We still have to talk about the gear and all the fights. I have to go...
Yeah, still a lot to cover.
Yeah, still a lot to cover, right? It's fun. It's exciting. It's fun talking about BWL. I got to take care of some IRL stuff randomly, but... so I think we're going to wrap here as part 1. And this is going to be... I know we didn't get into the bosses yet, but there's still some juicy nuggies here, right, so far.
So all the loot, too.
Yep, all the loot, lots of good
Cryos.
stuff. How many weeks? We still got a few weeks till BWL comes out, right? So we got some time to continue the discussion, right? So before we wrap, though, guys, please, I beg of you, I'll get on my knees and beg. Please follow these guys on their YouTube, their Twitch, all this. These guys are amazing, upstanding members of the classic community. They have a lot of knowledge, and as you can see, they're very nice, very approachable, very eager to share their knowledge and help you guys out and stuff like that. So I'm going to put their links in the chat right now for Skarm, Egregious, and Crix. Actually, if you guys could do that, I'll make you all mods in the chat right now, just in the interest of time, so we can wrap. But please, if you want to support this kind of content, you want to see more BWL discussion, things like this, please make it worth the guest time and follow them, hit them up, sub them, do whatever you can to support them. I would really appreciate it. Sorry for the random change in events here, but you know how it is. Another day in Cargo's the Goldfish's life. You gotta
for sure.
You know, it happens.
It's all good.
So there's Crix, and I mean, yo. You guys are legends, man. Big Egregious in here, GM of Invictus, Big Skarm. It's always a pleasure to talk with you guys. Yep. So let me. Okay, there's Crix's. There's Egregious. Skarm's is. Hold on. Twitch.tv. Skarm Tank, is it?
Skarm Tank for Skarm TV for Twitch. Yeah, Riz just linked it in the chat.
Skarm TV for Twitch.
And then Skarm Tank for YouTube still.
Okay. Twitch.tv Skarm and Skarm Tank for YouTube. I would really appreciate it, guys, if you could go follow them. I really would. Here we go. There's Twitch Skarm. You probably know Skarm on Twitch though. Okay.
It's been fun. Yeah, I'll be around for the next one, wherever that is too.
Sounds good,
guys.
guys.
That sounds great. Thank you guys so much for your time. We're gonna wrap it up, and we are going to host. Who are we gonna host, real quick, dude? Let's see. Is anybody even online right now? We're going to host my man. Payo, dude. We're gonna host Payo. Payo the God. All right, guys.
The little Payo, dude.
The little Payo.
All right, take it easy,
Course.
guys.
Yo, take care. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next time on episode 2.